How are you, Keith here from the Handyman Can. Today we're just doing a little stipple job, so I've done a short video on it. I will do a fuller video on it explaining in more detail, but as I said, these videos are for DIY enthusiasts. They're not aimed at professionals. It's if you're looking to do something in your house and you just don't want to spend a fortune and you're looking for the cheapest, quickest way out, that will give you a job that's good enough that you'll be happy to live with. And I think it's probably better than that, but that's what this is. It's shortcuts, it's tips and tricks. So watch it and see what you think. Okay, so we had a hole in the ceiling here, so basically what you want to do is cut it kind of square just to make it handier to slab. So there was already a timber, it just happened to have broken just where two timbers were. If it isn't, you can do a little trick that you'll see later on this, where you put a bit of timber up and screw through the plasterboard. So we cut it off square, and I said you just want a little bit of timber showing either side just to give you something to screw your new plasterboard to. You want to just trim it off clean. And when we get to that stage, then you take a measurement. This happened to be joist to joist, so it was 15 inches and it was just 2 foot long. So you cut that piece of plasterboard and get your measurement, your marks, cut your piece of plasterboard and get it up there. Throw a couple of screws in it. Now there's one part of the ceiling which it was a little bit loose, so what we done was we put a couple of screws into it, and just to strengthen it up a bit. It was moving a little bit, so just to stop any movement, stop any cracking, we've thrown a couple of screws along the edge there. And then at the front of it there was no timber. Now it was a small area, so you probably would have, the tape would have done, but what I did is I put a piece of timber up and I put 3 screws in and then just screwed them up into the timber through the plasterboard, so it holds the timber in place, and it just gives you enough grip just to get a screw in there at the front, so it strengthens up the front of your board, stops any movement. It was probably unnecessary in a small area like this, but it's no harm, and it takes like a minute, and it just gives you a bit of timber that's stiff enough to get a screw into. And then, as I said, we cut out a piece of plasterboard and screw that up. Sometimes you won't have a timber either side, so you can do the same thing on the sides. You don't have to cut back to a timber. It's easier if you cut back to timber, but sometimes when you're making a big cut then, and it's only small holes only there. So we just marked the board 2 foot by 15, cut it with a knife, and then we put it up. Now what I do is I always oversize it a small bit, and then I'll get it in as best, because the edge is never going to be straight unless you cut it really straight, but you don't need to. And then I'll just trim it in with the knife. I don't mind a little gap because we're going to be filling around that. So that's what we've done, is just cut it in, and then for the corner I just took a measurement that way, and then I just took a measurement that way and cut that corner out, and it just slots in. And again, as I said, it didn't have to be too neat because we're going to be filling around it and putting some scrim tape on it. So we got it in then, and just got it in as tight with as small a gap as possible, and then we mix a little bit of stuff and we fill in that gap. So as I said, your slabbing doesn't have to be too neat if it's your own thing. Now if you're doing a job for somebody else, you might want to cut it a bit neater and but this is the quickest, easiest way of doing it. So then we mix up a little bit of stuff and we'll just put a bit around the edge. Now I put PVA glue back about 5 or 6 inches onto the old stipple, just to give it something to stick to. And as I said, then we mix up a bit of stuff, and we've just put a bit around the edge, fill the hole, let that pick up for a minute, and then you put a bit of scrim tape on it, and you can get that in any hardware, and you just press it in, put a little bit of fat over it, and then another little bit of stuff over that. Now I generally, when I'm doing these, I just cover the whole board, I don't just cover the scrim. You don't have to, but it just means it's all going off at the one time. So I put a little coat over everything, over the tape, make sure there's no tape showing through, filled in all the little gaps and cracks, and I blend it back in. So you press hard against the edge, you want it to turn it nearly nothing when you're going back onto the old stipple. So then we put another little coat on it, let that one first coat sit for a few minutes, and then you put a softer coat on, and that's your stippling coat. Now you can use a stipple brush. There's several stipple brushes. There's a blue one, I think it's made by Blue Hawk, and that's the best one. It gives you a nice stipple. Now I happen to have bought a stipple brush the other day, a new one, just to try it out from B&Q. It'd be okay if you were doing a whole section because it'd give you a nice even stipple, but for matching in it wasn't great. The little stumps were too short on it, and it was only giving me a tiny little stipple. And you'll see that now here when I was stippling this little bit here, it was only giving me a small little stipple, and it wasn't matching what was originally there. Now, as I said, you can buy a stippling brush. You don't need a stippling brush. You can get a sponge, like a bathroom sponge, and wrap a bit of plastic around it, and it'll work as a stippling brush. As I said, this is just a quick, easy way out of it. Now, I happened to do that. I put the plastic around the stippling brush because the stippling brush wasn't working for me. So I just put a bit of plastic around it, and you'll see when it pulls it down a bit more. Now, if it pulls it too much, you can kind of wipe it out. You can leave it a minute and kind of run across it flat and flatten it down. Now, in America, they call this popcorn or knockdown, and the reason they call it knockdown is because they normally knock it down with a plastic trowel. And it's a nice finish, but most of the ones in the UK and Ireland are going to be stippled, and you're going to be matching back into the stipple. If it's a knockdown, you just knock it down until you think it's similar to what was there. So again, do your edges first with a wet bit, because it'll match better quicker, and it's going to be drying quicker because the other one's going to be drying in a bit. Again, I poly bonded out a little bit further than I'm going, and then the middle will be soft, but I normally stipple it and wait, and then you can knock it down a bit, you know, and get it to where you want it. You have to kind of experiment a bit at this stage, because the stipple, if you're going into a heavy stipple, you want it heavy, and if it's light. Now, when you're stippling, don't stipple in one spot. Twist your hand like to a sort of maybe 90 degrees, so you get a kind of, you won't get this little square line that you get sometimes. You'll be able to kind of, you know, blend it in at the edges. So you kind of just move your hand as you're going along. As I said, it's a bit of an experiment. You could maybe do it on a piece of board before you actually do it on your ceiling, and try and, you know, see how you're getting on with it. But it's simple enough. You can leave it, you can rub it out with a trowel, and you can go again. But basically then that's it, and you just blend in your edges. What I normally do is I wet up a bit and make it really nearly watery, soft, like melting ice cream, and I'll just go around the edge of it, and it'll take the shape of the original stipple, so it just gives it a nicer finish.